In today's video, I'm going to be looking at the depth I have for this upcoming new European season. For the under 23 category, I'm going to be showing you my rare cards, my super rare cards, where I can improve, where maybe I might need to sell a player, maybe bring some reinforcements in. Calling out for you guys to give me some comments in the comment section. Let me know where I need to improve. Hope you enjoy the video. Leave a like if you do, and if you are new around here, please do subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So on the screen right now is all my rare cards categorized by position that I should be able to use in this upcoming new European season for the under 23 category. I'm going to be targeting under 23 rare. I made it clear in the video that I did with John. If you haven't watched that, please do check it out. That I haven't won under 23 rare. I've come pretty close, like top 10 maybe a few times, but I've never won it, and I really, really want to win it. So a big goal of mine this sort of season in Sorare was to basically bulk out my rares, give myself way more options, play the matchups, have some really good cards, and yeah, hopefully, win some really good prizes and manage to podium and win the competition. Of course, I am going to be targeting under 23 rare pro as well. In the rare pro, obviously, you have 2 super rares and 3 rares, and then I am going to be targeting under 23 super rare, which is 4 super rares and 1 unique, or you can play 5 super rares. I will be showing you my depth chart for those after this. But first off, the rares, lads. 4 goalkeepers. I've got Costa, Bazanu, Verbruggen, and Tenas. Costa's situation is pretty clear. It seems like he's not going to move right now. And yeah, midweeks next season as well. Same for Baznu as well as a championship keeper. His situation is less clear in that sense. I think he's going to be number 1. It's really hard to say though. Same for Verbruggen. His situation, Brighton are playing in the Europa League, I think, next season. So there is a chance for Bart to have midweek utility. I don't know if he's going to be number 1, whether he plays in the Europa League games and Steele is number 1 in the Prem. I don't know how that's going to go, but they did spend big money on him. I would expect him to play a load of games. But of course, we want our goalkeepers to be nailed on. We want all our players to be nailed on, obviously, but especially goalkeepers. And then Tenas, I won him recently. I don't really need him in that sense. I think having Costa, Verbruggen, and Bazanu is enough. But if Tenas does manage to find a good landing spot, right now PSG is rumoured. I wouldn't really fancy that behind Donnarumma personally. I prefer him to obviously go somewhere and start, but that's easier said than done. But it doesn't look like he's going to be staying at Barcelona. Let me know what you think about my goalkeeper contingency there. Costa, Verbruggen, and Bazanu, obviously Tenas as well. But those 3, I think I've got enough bases covered there to where, I can play the matchups. Costa's always going to have a decent enough matchup, barring, Sporting and Benfica and Braga. Bazanu, obviously in unknown territory, played 32 games in the Premier League last season, dropped down to the champ this year with Southampton being relegated. Let's see how he gets on there. And then obviously the Verbruggen situation, does he become number 1 at Brighton in the Prem? Moving on to defenders. I've got Gaston Avila, Bella Kotchap, Jurien Timber, Nico Williams, Jan-Paul Van Heck, Harrison Messillian, Thiago Diallo, and Hugo Sikwe. I think on the surface of things, my defenders, especially in rare, are like the weakest spot that I have out of, defenders, midfielders, forwards. I've added some reinforcements over the last couple of weeks, Hugo Sikwe being one of them. I felt as though I was lacking a defender that could hit DAs, decisive actions, goals, assists, penalties won. And a player like him in the league he's playing for Cercle Bruges on loan from Freiburg. I feel like he's probably the only option there that I look at and go, okay, on a good, when Cercle Bruges have a nice home fixture, does Hugo Sikwe have a good chance of a DA? Probably. Does he have a good chance of getting a clean sheet? Yeah. So, those peak scores, those 80 pluses are quite possible to get there. And then you're looking at like Gaston Avila is probably the best as far as AA is concerned, all-round score. He's pretty settled into that Antwerp team. Apparently he's pretty nailed, although he did get a red card on the weekend, so I don't think he's going to play in the first game of the Jupiler Pro League this weekend. But he's I'd say he's my best option as far as like reliability right now. Bella Kotchap's also another amazing option. I don't know what's going on with his situation right now. If he stays in the championship with Southampton, that'd be unbelievable. I would love that. Timber's apparently impressed massively at Arsenal in pre-season. So if he could nail down a spot at Arsenal, I think, his passing ability matched with, Arsenal's ability just to score a lot of goals, he could creep a few DAs in there, as well as like some massive passing game from him. I think he could be a sneaky one. Nico, it depends how Forest sort of player they're going to play. Quite defensively and play Aurier at right back, or if they have a good fixture and maybe they fancy to dominate the ball a bit more higher up the field, then Nico Williams is obviously an option for them. So he will be an option for me, quite far down the pecking order as far as my defenders go. Same for Van Heck. I don't think he's going to be doing much for Brighton this year. Hopefully he gets a loan, but I just saw he got a new deal. Diallo's been injured, and he still will be injured for the next couple of months, I think, but a great option when he's fit. And Marcelina's just moved to Bordeaux in the French second division. I think he'll be a decent scorer there, to be honest. He scored well elsewhere. He played for Cercle Bruges last year, as far as defenders go, but I don't think it's like an unbelievable, array of defenders. Like I'm missing a Sorare in there, and I'm missing a Schlotterbeck. I'm missing, a creme de la creme of defenders, because I do have that in other positions, in the midfielders and in the forwards, and in, you could argue, goalkeepers as well. Defenders is probably my weakest sort of category right now. Moving on to midfielders, we've got Enzo Pedri, Clarkson, Zakarian. We've got Zayn Emery, Daniel Utkin, Carney Chukwuemeka, and Harvey White. The main sort of 3 or 4 I'm going to be using every game week is Clarkson, Pedri, Enzo, and Arsene, depending on where he moves. But, Clarkson, I think he's going to be one of the best under-23 midfielders this season for Aberdeen. Just recently signed permanently from Liverpool. Pedri, I'm really hoping Pedri can add DAs into his game next year. And then Enzo as well. I think he'll have a more prominent role under Pochettino. Hopefully they sign Caicedo so we can move Enzo up a little bit further forward, for them. And yeah, if Arsene gets a decent move, Lazio's rumoured. I don't love that, to be honest, but it might be decent. Zayn Emery, if he can break through in that PSG side, I think he could score well, but I don't think I'll be like picking him as like my main guys every week. It's going to be Clarkson, Pedri, and Enzo in a bit of a rotation. Harvey White hopefully gets a loan move from Tottenham. I can't see him doing much there. Carney Chukwuemeka as well, a really talented midfielder. Just can he get the game time really, and can I get use out of him is the issue. But I think I'm covered, as far as depth in midfield, 100%. And same with forwards, to be honest. Vinny, I've just recently brought in Rodrigo. I brought in Rodrigo to pair with him. I feel like Rodrigo's going to have an unbelievable season. I've got Jason Seca, who I've won like 2 months ago. He was a tier 3 reward, but dubbed to have a really good season in the Bundesliga too. So I'm going to keep him, especially for these next couple of weeks when, the other European leagues aren't on. You've got Sulemana that we won last week, Kulusevski's forward card, Brennan Johnson, and Ivan Sanchez, who I don't think is going to do much for me. I think he got injured in pre-season, actually. Brennan, play the matchups with Brennan. Obviously, if he stays at Forest, that is. Forest aren't going to score goals in every game they play, but there will be certain matchups, maybe at home, that I can play Brennan and maybe count on him for a DA or so. I'm excited to see where Kulusevski sort of plans out in Tottenham's sort of formation and stuff with Ange. Very excited to see what happens with him. But yeah, the main two are obviously Vinny and Rodrigo. I either play them both in Rare Pro and go 2 forwards, or I split them between under 23 Rare and Rare Pro, just going with 1 forward in each and hoping they just sort of bring home the bacon. Obviously, I'm really hoping Vinicius gets penalties for Real Madrid with Benzema gone. But if Rodrigo gets them, then I wouldn't be mad. But yeah, really excited to see those two sort of kick on this season again. But yeah, I think forwards and midfielders I'm fine. Honestly, it's just defenders that I'm a little bit worried about. Like, there's a few players that could punch on good game weeks. Sikwe could smash on certain game weeks, so could Avia. Really interested to see what happens with Bella Kochev. If he stays in the championship, then I've got like a really, really legit defender option. If he doesn't, we're counting on Avia, Sikwe, Messalin if he starts for Bordeaux. I'm not counting on Nico Williams, if I'm being honest. Timber, if he does nail down that right back spot for Arsenal, then he could be he could be really legit actually. So there is potential in that defender sort of category, but I am still missing like a Schlotterbeck. I'm missing somebody blockbuster. Let me know what you think in the comment section about that, as far as depth goes there. But super rares is where it gets a bit interesting. So I did recently bring in Labrovic as my goalkeeper for this next for this European season. For the super rares, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be playing under 23 Super Rare this upcoming season. And I had a bit of luck last year. I did better last summer where I podiumed. I finished first and third, where I won my Alan Varela Super Rare and Arakai Super Rare that plays for Antlers in the J League. But yeah, didn't really have too much success in under 23 Super Rare last European season. I'm a bit stronger, I would say, this coming into this season as far as depth is concerned. It's always hard to get, it's hard enough to get depth in Rare for me. So never mind Super Rare. I've only got 1 goalkeeper option, which I think is fine. They have European qualifiers right now, although it's not covered, but hopefully the next rounds are for Labrovic. But he got a clean sheet in his first sort of game week for me, which won me that Seyduba Cisse in the midfielder section. He's already paid dividends. For me, Labrovic, I think I finished 8th this weekend in under 23 Super Rare. But yeah, as far as defenders go, I think I'm pretty set. Callum Doyle, I think, is going to be excellent for Leicester. Balde, we don't really need to say much about him. Balki is actually a really sneaky one. He plays in the Turkish league as a right back, but he's really attacking minded. He can get some, he can get DAs, on specific game weeks if there's a good matchup. Balki, he gives me a lot of depth where I might need a. He's basically nailed on as far as I'm aware. And yeah, Badiashile, if he can come back from injury, he's got massive competition with Colwill, but I do fancy him, to be a starter for Chelsea. He was great when he played last year, I thought. Very underrated. I just hope he can sort of stay injury free. Callum Doyle, Balde and Balki, I think they're all not nailed, but as good as nailed, right? Nico, I don't know how nailed he is, depending on how, Forest sort of go into this season. Aurier is probably a better defender than him, but I think Nico's a way better, attacking right back, and it just depends what the game sort of needs, I guess. Tanguy Nianzou is an interesting one. I think he's got everything, like every trait to be an world-class, defender. He's still only 21. People kind of forget that. He moved to Bayern Munich really young from PSG. Didn't really break through there, to be honest. But yeah, since moved to Sevilla. And he's really impressed apparently in pre-season. And I'm hoping he can nail down a starting spot as their centre-back this season. I really, really rate him. He's very good on duels, very physical, very strong. Seems to get on the better end of duels, as far as the Sorare matrix is concerned. So, it's funny, like in my rare sort of depth chart, defenders are probably my weakest. And then in the super rare depth chart that we're looking at here, I'd argue my defenders are probably my strongest out of, midfielders, defenders and forwards. Well, midfielders are decent as well, but I do think defenders are, pound for pound a better like subcategory, I guess, in my depth chart. But moving on to midfielders, we've got Zaidu Youssef unique. Obviously, he's not a super rare, but we're throwing him in here because he is going to be used hopefully every week. He's still at Famalicão in the Portuguese league. He scores really well, very consistent scorer. Doesn't really get too many DAs, but you can walk his way to 25 AA quite comfortably. And and with that unique bonus, it does really help in that under 23 Super Rare division. I've brought in a few reinforcements in midfield. I felt as though before I did that, I was looking at my midfielder options and it was Baron, Moran, and Florentino Luis, and I was just not confident at all in what I was seeing. Florentino Luis, obviously, is an excellent player and stuff, rumoured to get a move from Benfica. Still might. That's one of my sort of worries with him. And even if he doesn't move, they've brought Kochu in. They've got João Neres. Like I'm a bit worried with what's going on at Benfica as far as is Florentino Luis a guaranteed starter next year? I don't really think he is right now. I prefer him to probably get a move somewhere and to go get another test elsewhere. But yeah, Connor Barron, I don't think he's going to start for Aberdeen, but there is a potential stack with him and Leighton Clarkson rare next season. Moran still hasn't found a loan move. He's obviously, contracted to Brighton, a really, really exciting player. There's rumours he's going to move to the Championship, so I'm sort of waiting on that happening. And then, the three players that I've brought in. So I brought in Quinton Timber, really impressed with him at the Under-21 Euro tournament, captained the Dutch side there. And I'm hoping he can, have a big role to play at final. There's a lot of competition in those midfielder areas. They've just brought in Calvin Stengs as well, as, he's more of a number 10, I guess, than Timber. But yeah, quite a bit of competition. I don't think he's nailed. But, if he plays well, then, you just can't really be moved from your position a lot of the time. So hopefully he can, kick on this season because I do really rate him as a player. Francis Amuzu, I got him in a trade from Pavel. I kind of panicked when I saw Isaac Lihaji, who's at Sunderland. I saw he was rumoured to Qatar, and I had his super rare forward card, and I was like, I need to offload this. Offloaded it with another super rare, Kai Proga, who's not under 23, for Pavel's Francis Amuzu. And it looks like Francis is staying right now at Anderlecht. And he's pretty nailed every game week. Like, he's not an unbelievable player, but he does score pretty well on the matrix. They've just brought in Luis Vasquez as well, Anderlecht, who's a number 9. So Amuzu hopefully can chip in a load of assists into Vasquez. And then Seyduba Cisse, who I just recently won, thanks to Labrovic and co. this weekend. He scores pretty well. Like, he's not terrible. He's a tier 3 super rare win. And he's going to come into that sort of midfielder fold for me. And, I think he strengthens it somewhat. There's still a few question marks over Moran, like I said, and Florentino Luis. But, every week I should have a couple of, starting midfielders that I'm confident in. Is basically what I'm aiming for there. I've got no complete smashes. Like, I haven't got a Kochu super rare or whoever, Bellingham super rare. Like, I don't have the upper echelon of, under 23 midfielders as far as super rares go. But I think I have a decent sort of batch of players where every game week I'm hoping there's, a decent matchup for whoever that I could throw in, to my lineups basically. So let me know what you think on that midfielder contingency. And then finishing off with the forwards, I most recently bought this Thys Delinga, who plays for Toulouse. He's a number 9. He's Dutch, 22 years old, I think. And yeah, I needed a super rare forward badly. Thomas Suslov got relegated with Groningen. I'm still praying he gets a move elsewhere. But I'm not banking on that because, they're obviously in an uncovered league now. So that left me with João Mario, who's currently injured. Jorge Vertessen, who's probably third choice forward at PSV behind Luke de Jong and Ricardo Pepi. And then Sam Greenwood, who's obviously been demoted to the Championship with Leeds. I don't know what sort of playing time he's going to get this season. I rate him as a player. I think he's a good player. He suits the Matrix. Like, he takes set pieces and stuff. He's good on that aspect of things. I just don't know if he's going to be trusted this year as far as, getting into that, starting 11 for Leeds. They have a lot of quality and they haven't really lost too many players in those sort of attacking positions. So I'm a bit worried as far as, his position. And that's kind of, brings me back to this Delinga guy who, is basically just been given the number 9 shirt at Toulouse. They have European football because they won the French Cup last year. He scored like 18 goals in all competitions. He's not exactly like, the most complete, forward on Sorare. He doesn't really get too many, he gets a lot of DAs, he just doesn't really get too many, or too much, AA game all-round score, which is fine. Like, for the under-23 Super A competition, I just need my striker to score a few goals for me. That's kind of all I really want him to do. If he can get 5 to 10 AA, then great. But I just think I'll be in with a chance if my forward can get me a few goals. João Mario obviously plays right back, but like I said, he's injured. He's pretty nailed when he's fit, but he's had some dodgy knee situations over the last couple of months. So I'm hoping he can get that right before the start of the season. But yeah, this is the super rare depth. Let me know what you think, where I need to improve. I think objectively, I'd probably need another nice forward. Potentially another like elite midfielder. But that's easier said than done. I don't have the balance for that. I can't just go out and buy whoever I want in that sense. So I have to be strategic about it. But I do think I'll be able to compete, with especially using 2 defenders. My best team is probably Labrovic, Alex Balde, Zaidu Youssef as my unique, Thys Delinga up front, probably Callum Doyle as an extra, potentially maybe Quinton Timber, Amuzu, depending on fixtures. I think it's a decent 5. Like, it's not terrible. It'll definitely compete. It might not compete for those podiums, but I think it'll definitely compete for those tier 2s, 3s, and whatever. And that's what I'm aiming to do with the under-23 Super Rare division, is just accumulate Super Rares. Like, they're hard to come by, but they're great when you win them, and you kind of want to keep hold of them, especially, the young under-23 ones where, they might not have immediate utility, but eventually they could turn into sort of, gold mines and it can kind of, excel your gallery in that sense. I just want to make it clear that I do have quite a few MLS and Argentinian League Super Rares. I have a Brian Aguirre forward, I have Santi Rodriguez midfielder, Frankie Amaya. I have quite a few sort of super rares that are playing in, the summer leagues, I guess. But those leagues don't really finish until like November-ish time. So I will still be able to use them. But this was just, a video showing you like my European guys as far as their depth goes and how I think I'll fare this upcoming season. So I'm interested to see what you think. Where do you think I'm weakest? Where do I need to improve? Who should I really sell? I am interested to see what you guys think on that topic. But I do really appreciate you watching. I think this is a good exercise for anyone to do. I just made it on Photoshop as far as the depth chart is concerned. And yeah, I think it's good sort of practice to lay it out there and just sort of visualize, okay, where am I weak? Where am I strong? And where can I sort of improve and stuff? So yeah, hope you have enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please do leave it a like. And if you are new around here, like I said at the start of the video, please do subscribe. Hope you have a great day, and I shall see you guys in the next video.